So when is a probate necessary? What is a probate? A probate is the case that happens when someone dies. And it there's a court case that gets filed, that gets started to basically manage the efficient administration of a person's assets. And so if you don't have a will, if you don't have any sort of estate plan in place, when you die, there's going to be a probate to manage all of your assets. If you do have a will, there's also going to be a probate because wills are probated. What that means is when you have a will, you go and file that with the court to start a probate action. A lot of people think that when you have a will, you don't have a probate because what we see on TV is the dramatic reading of the will, right? The lawyer opens his briefcase, the family's all there in a quiet little private setting, and they pull the will out. I declare this to be the last will and testament. And they have this dramatic reading of the will. That's what we watch in the movies. That is not real. That does not actually happen. No one does the dramatic reading of a will. It doesn't happen. If you have a will, it's going to get simply filed with the court with a bunch of other papers, and you're going to have a probate. So when does a probate happen? When someone dies and there are probatable assets, which means there's stuff. And pretty much everybody has stuff. So with or without a will, you're going to have a probate. Now, if you want to avoid probate, there are things you can do. But really, the only surefire way to avoid probate is by setting up a living trust. There's lots of information on my website related to that, and I'll put more posts in here to talk about those sorts of things later. But I wanted you to understand that when someone dies, you need to have a probate. Because if you don't, you end up in a scenario where stuff can't move. I have a client whose spouse died 25 years ago, and they never ran a probate. And the house was in that spouse's name. And so the house has never changed hands. It still belongs to the dead spouse. And now we're dealing with the mess of moving in that house finally through a probate action into the name of the surviving spouse 25 years later. It's a small miracle that more problems haven't occurred because that never happened. But know that probate is important anytime someone dies, unless you've set up an estate plan that allows you to avoid it.